Okay, let's talk about how the Seahawks offense will attack the Rams defense. I've already talked about the opposite. I said that I think that the Rams will score 17 points if they have John Wolford in and 24 points if Jared Goff is in. It looks like it's going to be Wolford, but we still don't know for sure. And I sort of talked about all the things there. And one of the things I talked about in that video is the fact that you saw the Rams had a lot of moments where there were things that were open and they weren't able to capitalize. Seattle, it was kind of the opposite. They had a couple of those moments, but for the most part, it was really hard just to get guys open against this great Rams defense. Let's start off with this play where it's going to kind of be the opposite. It's going to be the Rams have an opportunity that they're not able to capitalize on it, where what's going to happen is that this is going to be zone coverage that the Rams are in, and for Seattle, they have a very basic concept where a receiver is just going to try and get into a gap in coverage right over there. That's how it works. It's pretty simple. But once this play starts, watch 31. That's Darius Williams, and he's doing a good job he reads this play. He knows what this concept is, and he's going to try and step in front and see if he can maybe get an interception, which would be a huge splash play, of course. And, that's how the Rams beat Seattle the first time they played, was by getting those splash plays. He steps in front and he drops the football, and you got to make that grab if you're going to win this game. I think that needs to be said. I think that making that type of play is something that he's going to want to be able to make sure he does. And, he wasn't able to make that one. But to the larger point, that shows how dangerous this Rams defense is. You try to take a safe, small play, and they nearly get an interception off of that. So that's what you're going up against. However, despite that, what you would see from this Seahawks offense is they would go right back to that well and actually had some success moving the ball down the field sort of methodically. They weren't able to get chunk plays because of this, obviously, because that's a difficult way to get a chunk play, but you can at least move the ball down the field and gain some yards. So like on this one, very similar concept. You have a receiver who's going to kind of try to take away the Rams player who's in the flat in that direction, but again, similar thing, just try and get into a gap in coverage. And once this play starts, it's much better ran than the last one, and Darius Williams isn't there to try and get the interception. There's a clear gap right here, and it only takes like 1 second for Wilson to be able to make this throw. So you got to make this read immediate, and the Rams weren't able to on this one the way they were on the last one. Wilson makes an accurate throw. It wasn't a crazy throw. It wasn't anything incredibly special, but at the same time, good play by Wilson to be able to make that throw. And that is how they were able to move the ball down the field to some degree. They were able to have some success with those plays, but there was that one nearly disaster play. I want to talk about this play now because this is one of the real only times that you saw that Russell Wilson left something that was available on the board. And that's, again, part of why I find this game so interesting is you are going to see bigger throwing lanes for Jared Goff or John Wolford to make the throw than you are for Russell Wilson. But the issue is that Russell Wilson can make those throws more consistently than either of those guys for LA. And again, I think I'm going to upload this video a couple days later than I'm recording it. So if it's already been announced who the quarterback is, sorry for keep saying either or when it's been announced. But yeah, anyways, on this play, it's cover 3 zoned, and they have DK Metcalf, who's lined up to Wilson's left. He's going to run over the middle, and his sole job on this play is just get the deep corner who's in that area to then run over the middle and follow him. DK Metcalf is a decoy on this play, and then they have another receiver who's going to run underneath and basically just try to get into where the player who was supposed to cover the top left-hand corner of the screen would be, but since he's not there with him following Metcalf, there could be a window there. Wilson takes the snap. It's well executed by the Seattle Seahawks, and there is a window here for Wilson to make this throw. I mean, this is wide open, and this is a touchdown if it's converted. So Wilson typically makes these throws. However, this one is just off. And quite frankly, Wilson's been slumping these past few weeks. I think it has to be mentioned, He got off to that red-hot start in the beginning of the year, but he has been slumping, especially these past few weeks. I mean, just look at their how much points the offense has scored. It's not just him. It's been the whole offense, but they haven't been doing as well. In the past 5 weeks, he only has one game where he had a passer rating over 100. That was against the Jets. He also only has one more game where it was over 90, and that was this game. So, better there. And, he has been a little bit slumping down the stretch. Again, passer rating not the best tool, but just using it as a baseline. He just hasn't been playing classic Russell Wilson football, but I do suspect him to turn it up in the playoffs. So I think that we'll see a better Russell Wilson than we have been seeing these past few weeks. At least I hope so. Speaking of guys who can turn it up, let's talk about Aaron Donald for a second. He's really good, and he can completely kill drives, and that's an issue for Seattle. This plays an example where what you see LA, what they're doing is they're trying to get Aaron Donald one-on-one matchups. And sometimes they have just had Aaron Donald as an edge rusher, but they feel like he adds more value as a defensive tackle, and I kind of agree, especially when you can do this. You're going to have 3 LA players that are lined up on the right who are going to blitz here, rush here. And so basically this forces Seattle's left guard to just have a one-on-one matchup against Donald, which is obviously not a great situation. I mean, you could do other things like have a tight end block and he just blocks the edge rusher and let your tackle and guard block Donald, or have like a back block Donald. But it's just easier to get protection when it's someone as an edge. So when Donald is as a defensive tackle, you kind of have to leave him one-on-one. Typically, there's less space, so it's not that big of a deal, but Donald doesn't need that much space. He's that good. Wilson takes a snap, and Aaron Donald is quickly on his way, and that wasn't even a bad job by the Seattle's left guard. Donald didn't actually get the sack there, but he created the initial pressure that created a sack. So that's what he's capable of, and he's an absolute menace. This one's another one where you're going to see that Seattle was actually hurrying up to the line on this one, and maybe they should have slowed down a little bit because Aaron Donald took advantage of this. It's a one-on-one matchup once again. And, I mean, you know, he can just eat these alive. Watch how quick he gets pressure on Russell Wilson. There's nothing you can do for Seattle. That's the most frustrating thing for an offensive coordinator, I would imagine, is, oh, they just have the best player in football who can just do that. And you go from, you know, if it's a 1st down and 10, now it's a 2nd down and 16. That's so difficult to come back from. Sacks are complete drive killers, and especially when it's one like that where it just happens immediately. Even Russell Wilson, who's good at rolling around and good at getting rid of the ball, there's nothing he can do there. So that's going to be a factor because it's always a factor when Aaron Donald is playing. Nothing came easy for Seattle until the end of the game where they got a couple of plays that were chunk plays, and these ones did come easy. And this play in particular is one that, for me, could be really scary for the Rams, because this is one play that was way too easy, and it could give you an idea if you're Seattle, where it's zone coverage for the Rams. They play a good amount of zone. And this isn't anything too fancy for Seattle. What they're doing is that they're going to run play action, and then they also have a receiver running a deep route and another receiver kind of running underneath a little bit, where it's going to be still relatively deep, but it's going to be underneath the deep corner, which is Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey covers the deepest Seattle player. Then Tyler Lockett runs underneath him, but still past all the LA players over the middle of the field. And so that's how this can work. And watch how well this works. I mean, Wilson fakes a handoff, which works for the play action, and, you know, everyone's covering deep, which allows Lockett to get open. And that play action worked out really well. And to me, that's concerning for the Rams is, hey, play action worked. And if they can do that consistently, that's an eye-opening thing. And I think that for Seattle, I think just change the game plan a good amount. I think run the ball a lot and run play action. Even if you don't gain a ton of yards, establish the run and get the play action. That's how you can get explosives, because they really struggled for a lot of it, but they were able to do that. Now, they should have ran more play action, but that's okay. You have a 3rd time to play this team. Do it now. I think that's what I would do if I was playing the Rams, is because that's really the only way where the LA Rams have looked human basically all season. This defense is insane. If you can find an inch, take it. Another thing you should do is something on a play like this, where you have DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett, David Moore is good as well. Don't throw it to those guys. That sounds crazy, but here's why. Don't throw it to especially Metcalf or Lockett. Just basically what I'm saying is don't force it to them, which seems a lot more obvious. The reason why you shouldn't force it to those two guys is because, let's be honest, there's Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey on the other side. So don't be afraid to go to your 3rd or 4th best matchup, because the playing field's getting a lot more even though I think Seattle is a bit top-heavy in terms of their receiving options. Don't be afraid to throw it to a Jacob Hostetler, who actually had a touchdown in this game. What's going to happen is it's a cover 1 blitz right here, which isn't what the Rams do too often, so maybe it's a bit of a, you know, this isn't something that might come up a ton, but when it does come up, you want to be able to be successful at it, where what Seattle's doing is they have kind of a rub route over the middle against this man coverage, so don't be afraid to do this stuff. And again, you would love to throw to Tyler Lockett or to DK Metcalf, who are on the other side of the field, But at the same time, be fine with those guys kind of being a decoy. That's okay. As you see, this rub route works out really well, and that's sometimes the thing is don't force it to your best player. Sometimes the better option is to throw it to your fourth best receiving option who's running a route, because sometimes that is the better option, and that's what happened there. So I think that there is opportunities for Seattle to score some points. I think it's tough against this team, though. I do. I think the Rams are really good, and I think Seattle was lucky to not turn the ball over in that game. I don't know if it'll happen again. So I said in that Rams video that I think the Rams will score 17 to 14 points. I also, I'm basing it off of if it's a 10-possession game. So I'm going to give Seattle 20 points. I think 20 points feels right. That's 2 points per possession, which is low, but it's high for a team playing the Rams. That's kind of how it is. And so basically, I think that if Jared Goff comes back, I think the Rams win. If Jared Goff does not, I think Seattle wins. I think it's that close. I think that I don't know. I think Goff is I think he's a good player, and I think he's definitely better than AAF legend John Wolford. No respect to Johnny the Wolfman, but that's just what I think. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.